Are you planning a trip on Royal Caribbean's Anthem of the Seas?
If so, stay tuned for our top 20 tips and tricks.
So perhaps you are brand new to cruising. If so, one of the first things you need to do even before you board is do the pre-cruise checklist. You can do this either on the website or using the Royal Caribbean's app, and it's all very easy and straightforward, and there are a few things that you can book before the cruise, so it's good to get involved before you even board. And also, the earlier that you check in, normally the earlier time that you actually get allocated to embark, which is really important, especially if you want to get on there first.
So the very first thing we'd recommend to do before booking a sailing on Anthem of the Seas is to just research that it is the ship for you. Not all cruise ships are built equally. It is a quantum class, so there's a lot more active things to do, and it is more family orientated, so they do tend to be slightly busier and younger ships. So just do a bit of research first to make sure it's the one that you want to sail on.
Absolutely, and also make sure in terms of size it's right as well, because some people don't like the really big ships. Now Anthem is a big ship, so yeah, definitely bear that in mind if booking. One of the things we'd strongly recommend is to check out the doghouse and the Seaplex. The doghouse has got a really nice array of hot dogs that you can choose from, and they are made nice and freshly right in front of you. The one thing we would actually say though from our experience is if they're still microwaving the buns, just tell them not to do it for too long, because pretty much every time we had one, they were a little bit hockey puckish, if that makes sense. So, but aside from that, they were delicious, so definitely worth checking out, and they're part of your fare. Yay!
So, talking of food, we come on to our next tip, and this would be to make sure you definitely check out lunch in Cafe 270, which is located at the very aft of the ship. Absolutely amazing. It's usually quite quiet as well, so it's less hectic than the Windjammer. And on our sailing, they had the most incredible beef sandwiches that were made fresh every day. Just amazing. We loved it. It became a staple of ours, didn't it, for every day to just go on and check out for lunch. So definitely one to look at. Incredible views from the aft, and just a really nice chilled out venue with great food.
So sticking with the food theme for a little bit, do you like fish? Well, if you don't, I don't either, and that really turned me off from going to Izumi. But Ben does like fish and really wanted to go, so we thought we'd give it a go. Now, to my surprise, they were so accommodating. They couldn't have been any better. They basically just asked me to have a look through the menu and see what I kind of like the look of, minus the fish, and they'd see if they could adapt it. And to my surprise, they did. Essentially, they just subbed the fish for chicken, and it was absolutely beautiful. I couldn't have asked for anything more. So absolutely don't let it put you off, regardless of if you like fish or not.
So this next tip is not food related. It's about the ripcord iFly experience on Anthem of the Seas. So it's just one to be mindful of. You do get the opportunity to do a simulated skydive on board. You have two options. You can do it for free or you can pay. We opted for the free. The difference between the two is the free session takes about 1 minute, you get one go, and the paid for session you can have two goes. The price of the paid session ranges from sailing to sailing based on demand, from between $30 to $50 at this time of recording. So it's quite expensive. The free session for me was awesome. You had one go, you're in a bit of a group, and it's just fun. If you're enjoying the video so far, why not give us a cheeky like and maybe even leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you.
So one of the things that you might want to consider is taking out something called the key. The key is a bolt-on which you pay for per day, and the pricing again does vary. Now it can be a little bit pricey, but it comes with all kinds of benefits, including priority embarkation, Wi-Fi. There is a specialty breakfast on disembarkation day.
And a lunch on embarkation.
Yeah, absolutely, a lunch on embarkation day, which is normally in the dining room, I believe. And also one of the big pluses for us, especially if you are visiting some ports via a tender, you do get priority tender access, and that's especially important on your way back because there can be some pretty hefty queues. We had that when we were in
Ville-France.
That's right, Ville-France. And a little bit embarrassing, I guess, but we were able to skip the queue because there was a special The Key queue, and we just sailed right to the front. Another thing that's included is also seating in the entertainment venue, so it takes off a little bit of pressure, especially if you're running a little bit late because of dinner. So something to think about.
So as we said before, this is a family ship, but if you do ever feel the need to kind of get away from kids for a while, definitely head to the Solarium. It's an amazing venue located at the forward of the ship, and it's just really, really relaxing. It's 16 plus only, and there are a couple of pools in there, not swimming pools, more like plunge pools. There's a bar as well, and it's just a really nice area, lots of beds around so you can relax. We even got a bit of sun in there on one particular day and saw some whales.
It was beautiful, and there's also a couple of hot tubs as well. So if you don't want the cool water, you've got a mix of both.
Yeah. And the swing, very good for Instagram moments.
Anthem of the Seas has some of the best entertainment at sea, but if we had to pick one show to recommend to you guys, it would be Spectre's Cabaret. Now this takes place in the 270 venue, which just by itself is amazing. They've got all these amazing screens that move around as part of the show, and the actual artists that perform are amazing. So definitely don't miss out on that one.
Back to food tips, and for us it's the Solarium Bistro. We found this to be a bit of a hidden gem for sure when we sailed on board Anthem. It's a kind of buffet style setup. They do lunch and dinner. Lunch is walk-in, so you can just turn up. Dinner is bookable, but still free. When you arrive, the food and the menu is completely different from any other venue on board, and it was really delicious. We were really sad that we only kind of discovered it towards the end of our sailing, so definitely recommended early on just to see if you want to go back for more servings.
Absolutely, we enjoyed it that much at lunch. We actually cancelled one of our a la carte restaurants that was included as part of our ultimate dining package.
Yes.
It was that good, and it was absolutely worth it.
Oh, it really, really was.
Talking of the Solarium, if you want an epic sea view, if you walk through to the front of the Solarium, either side, so left and right, there's two doors by the hot tubs, if I remember right. Now, if you walk through those, you enter a couple of wings that essentially are off the edge of the sea. Don't worry, it's not as scary as it sounds. It just gives you an absolutely epic view of the ocean and everything around. And if you're lucky, you might even get a cheeky glimpse of the captain.
It's also a really good spot for sailaways as well, because you can access the bar in the Solarium, then head out for a really epic view at Sailaway.
Absolutely.
Another food tip from us, and this time takes us again back to Cafe 270. It's just the gift that keeps giving, this venue. We loved it, we really did. You can head in there, it's really quiet, we never had issue in there. You go in there, you've got selections of pastries, some almost like McMuffin type creations that they make as well. Teas, coffees, cereals. It's kind of a cold buffet style, but it's really quiet and very, very quick service. So we found on days where we had an early disembarkation for an excursion, hit Cafe 270, you can eat and go without being in a big crowded and stressful environment.
Absolutely, and if you've got the deluxe drinking package, you can also get your lattes and cappuccinos, deluxe coffees as well. If you're thinking about taking out one of the thermal spa passes, before you do it, we'd recommend you go for a tour around. Now, don't get us wrong, it's pleasant, but for what we paid at the time, we didn't really think it was worth it really. Yeah. There was a sauna, a steam room, and a tropical shower, and some thermal chairs. Again, they were nice, and it was nice and quiet, but compared to other spas on other ships, we didn't think it was as good. Yeah. Sounds a bit harsh, but definitely have a look for yourselves and just make a decision before you buy.
Our next tip for you is another food-based tip, which I seem to be getting all of today. For us, Sorrento's Pizza, a must-do and a real fan favourite for any Royal Caribbean cruiser. New and old, it just seems to be loved. It's open pretty much all day, so I think it's 22/7, not 24/7. Really great pizza though. They also do kind of a salad buffet, so if you want to convince yourself it's a healthy option with some olives on the side, you absolutely can do that too.
If I remember right, you can also check it out for breakfast as well.
You can. They do a breakfast buffet, thank you. So you can go into there as well. And again, another great place if you just want to have a quick breakfast and get off to an early excursion, because it is less busy than the Windjammer.
If you're enjoying this content, why not subscribe and ring that bell so we can let you know when we release more content. If you've sailed with Royal Caribbean in the past, you might be used to seeing the big main dining room venues, big free tier ones. Now on Anthem of the Seas, it is different. So instead of that, they've got 4 separate dining venues. They are American Icon, Chic, Silk, and the Grand. In terms of menu, they are exactly the same. They only vary in terms of style. So you've got American Icon and Silk. They are if you have got Freedom Dining, also known as My Time Dining.
Yes, and then the Grand and Chic are for people that have actually booked and reserved their dine-in slots. Our next tip involves the North Star experience on Anthem of the Seas. You do have 2 options with a North Star. There's a free experience and a paid for experience. At time of recording, the paid for experience is about $30, but that may vary on the ship, so check the app when you're on board. The free experience books up really quickly, so our main recommendation, if that's what you want to do, is to get in there on day 1 to put your names down to have that experience, because they book up very, very quickly. The key difference between the free experience and the paid for is the free experience only tends to happen in port days, and it pretty much just goes up and down. So it's a 300-foot view of the pool deck, which is still a great experience to see because you get a good perspective of the ship. The paid for experience tends to happen on sea days. And the key difference here is it goes up, but it also goes out to the sides of the ship as well. So you get some really, really cool shots of just Anthem in motion sailing through the sea. We did the paid for experience and we were really lucky. We were the only 2 people in there at the time with the operator. They don't let you go on your own. And it was a really great experience. He did say that on some occasions you can even see pods of whales if you're in the right place at the right time from there. So potentially a really special place to see something once in a lifetime as well.
Anthem of the Seas features a robotic bar known as the Bionic Bar. It's a really cool feature and we liked it, and it's included as part of your deluxe drinks package if you go for it. Now, as much as we liked it, towards the end of our cruise, it felt like a bit of a gimmick. And to be honest, as cool as it is, it doesn't make the best drinks in our opinion. So if you're doing it just for a nice drink, you're probably better off just going to one of the regular bars and having one of these awesome cocktails as we're showing you now. But you know what, for a bit of fun, it's something different and we liked it.
Yeah. Our next tip is all about shopping on Anthem of the Seas. There are a lot of shops to get around on here. It's kind of like being in a shopping centre at sea. That said, if you see something you like, don't necessarily jump and buy it as soon as you first see it. They do offer sales throughout the sailing and they tend to offer more of them towards the latter part of the trip as well. What we've found is if you just openly ask the attendants, they tend to say like, yes, this is likely going to be in the sale towards the end of the ship. They don't reserve things necessarily for you, but just bear in mind you can get good bargains. We managed to snap up about 30% discounts on items that we wanted, aftershaves, even some kind of like spa facial kits as well, because we waited till the end. So definitely something we'd recommend.
Most cruise lines offer at least 1 formal night on a vacation, and Royal Caribbean are no exception. Now, if you like us and you don't like dressing up for formal night, most of the time anyway, it's all good. Royal Caribbean don't tend to be that strict on it. Now, if you want to go to the chef's table, you do need to dress up. Otherwise, anything goes, more or less. Now, most people that are going to dress up, they tend to go to the main dining room. So if you want to avoid that, maybe think about going to one of the a la carte restaurants such as Chops or Jamie's Italian. They're all amazing. Or if you want to go for free, why not check out the Windjammer buffet? It's really great. It's got really, really good variety, and it makes a change from the main dining room.
Our next tip is about the chef's table experience on Anthem of the Seas. So it is quite different to chef's table experiences on other royal ships in that it's a bit more intimate and private. So the chef's table on Anthem of the Seas is located at the back of the Chops Grill restaurant. Another difference that we experienced with the chef's table on Anthem of the Seas is that rather than having a bespoke menu that the chef has created and prepared, which we had on Independence of the Seas, on Anthem it was more of a kind of best bits of all of the other a la carte restaurants curated into one kind of epic menu selection. And when I say epic, I mean it in terms of flavour, which was incredible, but also sheer volume of food. So the biggest tip if you are doing the chef's table is skip lunch. You don't need it. There's a huge amount of food. We couldn't finish ours as much as we wanted to. We did save room to finish the wine though, so that was pretty good.
Always.
Yes.
If this has been useful, why not check out our full vlog playlist of our experience on Anthem of the Seas? And why not subscribe?